this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
I mean, hosting a talk show, definitely. You're gonna need, really?
So that was Bill Gates telling us that humans won't be needed in the future. I think on face value, what he's saying is often quite terrifying. Consider the economic and societal implications of pushing humans out of their jobs. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys a deep dive on what the industry is actually saying about AI, the economy, and jobs.
Yeah, so the era we've come to is sort of the vision that computing was expensive and it basically became free. The era that we're just starting is that intelligence is rare, a great doctor, a great teacher. And with AI, over the next decade, that will become free, commonplace, great medical advice, great tutoring. And it's kind of profound because it solves all these specific problems, like we don't have enough doctors or, mental health professionals. But it brings with it kind of so much change. What will jobs be like? Should we, just work like 2 or 3 days a week? So I love the way it'll drive innovation forward, but I think, it's a little bit unknown. Yeah. Will we be able to shape it? And so legitimately, people are like, wow, this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide.
I mean, hosting a talk show, definitely. You're gonna need, really?
Well, we'll decide, like baseball. We won't want to watch computers play baseball.
That's correct. Yeah.
And, so there'll be some things that we reserve for ourselves. But in terms of making things and moving things and growing food, over time, those will be basically solved problems.
So now, this is where Bill Gates actually says that it is profound and even a little bit scary because it's happening very, very quickly, and there are no upper bounds. I think what he's saying here is really important. The fact that there's no upper bounds means that there is nothing that AI won't be able to eventually do in the future. I think we all have to understand that, even down to being your girlfriend or boyfriend or your partner, whatever, there's literally nothing that AI won't be able to do. We do know that this is a thing that companies are working on. And of course, some things will remain uniquely human. But for the most part, there being no upper bounds is probably an accurate statement, considering the fact that this is going to be smarter than us, faster than us, more emotionally intelligent, and just bounds ahead of any average human, which means that human intelligence is probably going to be a declining asset in the coming future. Now, of course, he's not the only person that's ushered such a statement. I want to show you guys this clip from Tristan Harris on AI.
We're about to disrupt millions of jobs without people having a new alternate economic future. That's going to create so much economic anxiety that we can't just roll out AI and destabilize society and overwhelm society. Right now, the logic is if I don't race to deploy AI faster than the other companies or countries, then my country will lose. That's why we're not regulating AI, because we have to beat China. But that's the wrong logic. The logic is, if I'm not as good at harnessing and mitigating the risks of AI, then I'm going to lose to the countries that are better at mitigating the risks of AI. So instead of it's a race to deploy the technology, it's a race for who's better at governing the technology in a way that doesn't self-undermine your role. Because the United States beat China to social media. Did that make the US stronger or weaker? So it's like beating someone to a weapon that you just use to shoot your own foot. You're not actually going to be a stronger country because you have the technology first. It's about how do you wield the technology.
Now, Sam Altman also spoke about this.
So eventually, I think the whole economy transforms. We'll find new things to do. I have no worry about that. We always find new jobs, even though every time we stare down a new technology, we assume they're all going to go away. It's true that some jobs go away, but we find so many new things to do and hopefully so many better things to do. So I think what's going to happen is this is just the next step in a long, unfolding, exponential curve of technological progress.
I think in some ways the AI revolution looks to me like the opposite of the internet, because back then people were running companies, they didn't believe that the internet was going to change the world, and their companies died because they didn't make the changes they needed to make. But the people who bought in, it was really clear what the action implications were. Like, I need to have a functioning website. I need to know how to sell my products through that website, right? It was not rocket science to adapt to the digital revolution. What I'm hearing right now from a lot of founders and CEOs is the reverse, which is everybody believes that AI is game-changing, and nobody has a clue what it means for leadership, for work, for organizations, for products and services. Like they're all in the dark.
In that sense, it's more like the industrial revolution than the than the internet revolution. There are huge known unknowns of how this is going to play out, but I think we can say a lot of things about how it is going to play out too.
So I want to hear those things. So a couple of hypotheses that I have. One is that we're going to stop valuing ability and start valuing agility in humans.
There will be a kind of ability we still really value, but it will not be raw intellectual horsepower to the same degree.
And this is where Bill Gates actually talks about the fact that jobs aren't even supposed to be done at all. He talks about the fact that humans aren't really made to do work. I think this is one of a kind and an interesting point of view, because this is probably the only perspective that I've ever heard where someone talks about the fact that humans aren't made to be working 40 hours every single week. We're just made to, exist. Take a listen.
We weren't born to do jobs. Jobs are an artifact of the shortage. That, oh gosh, somebody better be a farmer. Okay, somebody better, drive those trucks around. All of that is based on, creating the human intelligence to provide a broad range of services. And so as you get away from that being a necessary thing, you get a lot more leisure time. And it'll be people who've grown up in that world of no shortage who will have to think through. I think it's hard for anybody, in my case, spent 70 years in the world of, shortages. It's hard to reprogram your brain to, this change. Society will be able to have a level of output, food, medical advice that won't require everybody to work like they do today. We'll have a choice. We can say that the machines shouldn't help with certain things. We can confine them to certain areas if we choose to. But the reason you think about jobs is because of the shortages. Even that framing of how you think about the world won't really be the way to think about it.
Now, this is a document by the World Economic Forum. It's got a list of jobs that'll disappear by 2023 and some jobs that will grow. So I think you should all take a look at what's going to benefit you economically and in the long run. Now I want to show you guys this recent clip of Elon Musk, where he basically said that AI will replace humans entirely. Take a listen.
What would your kind of observation be on AI and the impact on labor markets and people's jobs, and how they should feel about that as they think about this?
Well, I think we are seeing the most disruptive force in history here. Where we have for the first time, we will have for the first time something that is smarter than the smartest human. And that, it's hard to say exactly what that moment is, but there will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want to have a job for sort of personal satisfaction, but the AI will be able to do everything. So I don't know if that makes people comfortable or uncomfortable. That's why I say if you wish for a magic genie, that gives you any wishes you want, and there's no limit. You don't have those three wish limit nonsense. You just have as many wishes as you want. It's both good and bad. One of the challenges in the future will be, how do we find meaning in life if you have a magic genie that can do everything you want? I do think it's hard, when there's new technology, it tends to usually follow an S-curve. In this case, we're going to be on the exponential portion of the S-curve for a long time. And you'll be able to ask for anything. It won't be, and we won't have universal basic income, we'll have universal high income. So in some sense, it'll be somewhat of a leveler, or an equalizer, because really, I think everyone will have access to this magic genie.
Okay, now I'm going to play another interesting clip from Sam Altman's interview.
My belief is that all repetitive human work that doesn't require the deep emotional connection between two people
That will all be done in the next couple of decades, better, cheaper, faster by AI. And that is somehow left out of the conversation. It's always about factory robots and self-driving cars. But what they don't talk about is all of the white-collar work that AI is going to do.